Hey, welcome back, lovelies, to day 6 of my 30-day video challenge. Thank you for walking the journey with me so far. Today, I would like to start to cover the details of my health crisis a little bit with you, and this I share with you in an effort to help other people that may be going through a similar thing themselves to feel like they are heard, feel like they have got somebody here who gets it, who understands it. So if any of you have been diagnosed with adrenal fatigue, fibromyalgia, or any autoimmune disease, chronic illness, and you're kind of new to this game, I'd just really like to stress that I'm somebody who has walked that journey and I do get it and I understand, and that's part of the reason why I am now a health coach, because I would like to get out there and help people to restore some of their health. I can't always get rid of an illness necessarily, but I can totally get back some function, some control, some power, and some joy. And I think that that's priceless. So that's what I'm in the business of now, because I've walked in those shoes. So I feel like I'm pretty well equipped to help others to really uphold themselves and empower themselves and get through the struggle themselves. So take you back to when my doctor just looked at me and went, "Yep, you've got chronic fatigue syndrome." I walked out of his office and went, "Nah, I don't." So I was in total denial, and I put that armor of denial on for a long, long time. I was somebody who had never ever gotten sick, and I was, all of a sudden finding myself with a mouthful of ulcers, and I mean like ulcers all inside my front lips, my top lips, all up the back, like under my tongue. It was just, horrible, painful, icky. My skin was breaking out and not very happy. I was getting every bug that went around, and it was lasting a lot longer with me than it was with other people. And I knew something just wasn't quite right, but I still walked out of that office thinking it'll be right in a couple of weeks. It'll all blow over. It's not that big a deal. I'm not the girl who gets a diagnosis of some sort. I'm the healthy girl. So up until this point, yes, I had taken care of my health quite well. And I suppose it wasn't something that I did consciously. It was more something that I'd been taught. My mum always had the most gigantic veggie patch, so we always ate, at least 6 or 7 different veggies were on our plate every night, and she kept us in very healthy food and very healthy ways as well. Like everything that she gave us in terms of, helping support our health was all natural, and I'm truly grateful to her for that. And so I suppose I'd taken it for granted that I was just a healthy person, and I didn't really put it down to um, luck or anything. It was just, that's just what you are, and all those other people, they're unhealthy because they must have done something. And I don't mean that I looked at other people that were unhealthy in a judgy way. I just mean that I thought there had to be a logical explanation for it, and that if you eat all your veggies and stuff, then you'll be fine. So it was something that I very much took for granted, and all of a sudden I was finding myself in this health crisis. So I definitely put my armour of denial on for a long time and just went, this is not happening to me. I got a second opinion. It was absolutely confirmed, no doubt, that I had adrenal fatigue. So that was quite devastating for me, but there was still this little voice in my head going, nah, that's not you. You'll be okay. So this is where my partner and my best friend and my other really good friends had to watch me go through this continual yo-yo pattern. I would go to work on days when I was not very well at all, and I would push through and struggle all day long. And the people that knew me best could see through the fake smile, could see through the I'm fine, to see that I really wasn't fine. And to get to the end of my day, it was an 8:30 to 5 shift, I would really, really be pushing myself to get through to 5. Or I might have come off, some sick leave where I'd had another one of these viruses, and I'd come back and they go, "You okay?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm okay." But they knew that I wasn't okay, and I knew that I wasn't okay. And they also knew that that wasn't like me. I was a trooper. I was a really hard worker, and I was still trying to be that hard worker. So I would show up on days when I shouldn't have even, tried. There would be some days I'd be walking into work, and honestly, if I was trying to think of something else or maybe write a text while I was walking into work, my legs would stop walking. Like, that's how much effort it took to actually walk. I had to think about putting one foot in front of the other. And if my brain went somewhere else, then that function that I just, used to do without even thinking about just fell off. Like, it was just this extreme exhaustion that I'd never known before, and it was incredibly horrible. And the days where I had real flare ups, the whole world was offensive to me because noises hurt my ears and light hurt my eyes. I was weak and my muscles were burning, and there were so many times when I would get to morning tea or get to lunch and I'd be struggling just to undo my Tupperware container to get my nuts out, or to undo the packet to try and make my salad for lunch, and Tracy would just look at me and go, you can't do this, you need to go home. So I went through patches where I go, okay, I need to do less and manage this illness, and I'd do less for a bit and then I'd feel well. So I'd go, oh great, here's old Kate again. So I would go back to my normal activity. And then I would plummet into another flare up again for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then I'd recover and then I'd feel well. So I'd go, oh, maybe I'll go for a run because I haven't been for a run since I got diagnosed, and I'd go for a run and I'd have to crawl back from that run, and within 2 or 3 hours all of the symptoms would set in and I'd be down for 3 weeks. So this was continuous, and my poor loved ones had to watch me keep doing this and keep going, why don't you just look after yourself? Can you just take things easy, just back off your expectations. I'm a perfectionist, I'm a high achiever. It was very, very hard to do this. So I was just going through this whole, I'll take care of myself, I'll do things easier. But then the minute that you started to feel like your old self again, you just start trying to do the things that your old self did. It took a long, long time for me to work through that denial and get into a phase of, I actually got into a phase of grieving where I had to grieve for my old self and go, that girl is gone for now. And I need to accept that this is the new normal. Now, that's not saying that I had to go, right, give in, surrender, I'm just a sick girl now. It was more that I had to respect that my body was telling me it had limitations, and it was asking me to slow down, and it was actually asking me to go within and show myself a bit of self-love and a bit of moderation and some self-care of, starting to support my soul and starting to support my mind a lot better than I had been. And those were the things that had actually made me ill. When I asked somebody what caused this, because I always want an answer and an explanation to everything, they actually said that it was from walking on eggshells 24/7 and having those raised cortisol levels, which is what happens when you're in an adrenaline kind of state, which I was all the time. Because even when I wasn't being screamed at or abused or having things thrown at me, I was trying to prevent that from happening and keep the dragon awake, keep the dragon asleep, so to speak. And so living and functioning like that had just made my body not know the difference between fight or flight and rest and digest. It was just in fight or flight all the time, and it had worn out my adrenals. So my body was trying to function as if a lion was chasing me all the time, and it wasn't, and it was exhausted. So I needed to slow down and I needed to rest, and I started to have to bring practices into my life that I'd never had in my life before, and now I'd never be without them. And I'm really thankful for the lesson that it taught me in bringing those things into my life and making it much more of a mind, body, soul experience, where really I'd only ever taken care of my body before and took it for granted that whatever my mind's doing has nothing to do with my health, when it has everything to do with your health. So I did go through a bit of an anger phase because I was angry with my ex for causing me to be unwell. I thought, oh, I'm finally free of him, but I'm still not free of him because now I'm sick and he gets to go off and live his life, and I'm still here suffering because of how he treated me. But that's not a healthy place to stay in either. And the grief is a natural process. And what I say with all sorts of icky emotions is that you can't punish yourself for feeling negative emotions or nasty emotions, because they're natural reactions to things. It's just whether or not you unpack yourself there and stay there or not, or whether you ride it out and then move on when the time is right. So I had to go through that grieving phase, and I think it's inevitable, but I got to the point where I went, you know what, there is some hope, and I'm going to put my Mary Poppins hat on, pull my socks up, get my determination happening, and take this seriously and learn how to manage it, which is what I ended up doing. But that diagnosis is a feeling of helplessness, hopelessness. You feel so alone, you feel so isolated, so out of control, like you've lost your power. Everything is in endurance. Nobody knows the endurance that's going on underneath your skin, and that every single thing takes effort. It's hard to commit to something and say, yes, I'll come and have your goodbye drinks with you, and then not be able to make it. You feel like you're letting people down all the time. You feel like you're a burden to the people that love you the most, and that they're sick of hearing your story, or that, when they ask you how you are, you just want to go, yeah, I'm good, thanks, because you just don't want to tell them the truth. I ended up getting a scale system with Justin, my husband, because I didn't want to moan all the time. He'd say, no, tell me what you really like. What are you actually feeling today? and I just didn't feel comfortable with that because I felt like I was moaning all the time. But at the same time, I needed him to know what I was feeling. So I would actually, he'd say, "How's your pain today?" 1 out of 10, or "How are you feeling today?" 1 out of 10, and that was what I had to do to start with because I felt more comfortable just with a numbers system than actually using all of those negative, nasty words that I was actually experiencing. So that guilt that you live with, that shame of letting people down, of feeling like you're, yeah, forever bailing out on work or bailing out on friends is not a nice place to be. And I lived there for a long time before I started to realise that this journey was more about taking care of myself, and that, yeah, the healing was yet to come. So my quote for today is to learn how to respond rather than to react. And that was the key message for me, was that I had to respond to this rather than react. And all those reactions are the grief and the sadness and the anger, and but the responding is learning practical ways to manage it and live with it and make it a much more easier journey. So stick with me because I will help you with a few tips and tricks and how to get through this. And my story itself will help you to see that it is not just a life sentence, and it's not a place that you need to unpack and stay there. So for now, have a lovely day out there. Enjoy the sunshine if you're lucky enough to have some where you are. Otherwise, I'll soak it up here for you while I got my leg up doing nothing. And I will catch up with all of your beautiful souls tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.